Here we are again with Molasses Moon, continuing the reading. I'll show the cover again since it's been a while since I've done that. And this is again on my Kindle Fire. I think I'm in, it might be in video number 34 by now, but of course the correct number of the video sequence will be in the chapter heading as usual. And again, the video title heading. The chapters themselves don't coincide with the video numbers, sequence numbers, because there's quite a few more videos than there are chapters, since I'm keeping them at anywhere from 15 to 20, around 15 to 20 minutes apiece. So we'll continue where we left off yesterday. I was just back up in the attic again with a hot cup of coffee, and the degrees were dropping outside. Now I'll just start with the next new sentence after the brain buzzes about without much caffeine, and mention that I was drinking decaffeinated back then in '94, and I'm back to caffeinated now in 2010, and today is January 30, Monday of 2011. I think I just said 2010. Skipped a couple years there. Anyway, if I get this right this time, it's 2012, the big year that's supposed to be when everything gets crashed or set right or whatever they want to do with it. I guess we'll just be along for the ride, whatever happens. I'm feeling overall positive most of the time anyway. And in the meantime, business as usual. Yeah. I just stole an hour from my clock up here. I wonder what the consequences are to time theft. Whatever. We must live in the right present, you know, saving daylight for future generations, since that's where the power's supposed to be, in the present, not in the future generations. I wonder where power, goes when it's out. There I go again, wondering. I can't seem to spend many minutes without doing that. Wonder if the world would have been different if the tree of knowledge had grown oranges instead of apples. What made God choose apples as the wicked fruit? I just turned my Kindle sideways now so I can read in a different direction. See if that makes my brain change any. Wondering if the tree of knowledge, why it didn't grow oranges instead of apples. What made God choose apples as the wicked fruit? I'll admit that keeping the doctor way is smart, especially when they've got their prescription pads primed. But if the tree of knowledge grew apples, why aren't I smarter after eating one? Well, maybe I am. Well, if I remember, the tree wasn't just of general knowledge. It was knowledge of good and evil. Maybe I should eat more apples. I don't eat that fruit often. Maybe that's why I'm having trouble defining good and evil. Most people don't try. They ask a clergyman. But you know me, I like to talk to myself, or to the walls, or the clock, or Gemstar. I think I'm trying to get somewhere here, pull something out of the air, but I'm still scratching my head and my side. Like a monkey. Yes, the 100th monkey. He was the one who had instant knowledge of a sophisticated skill taught to 99 monkeys with whom he had no contact on the other side of his island. Maybe he was eating an apple and scratching his head at the time. Maybe he had a craving for something harder and juicier than a banana. Gaining knowledge of good and evil is certainly juicy and hard, especially if it's carnal. They say chimpanzees are strong enough to make mincemeat out of humans if they want to. I wonder how they'd be at matter undermined. After all, a capacity for instant knowledge is no laughing matter. I wonder if we really did evolve from apes, or did we originate in a mental reality, like my cashmere? Did we ascend from the primitive, or descend from mincemeat? You remember I said on cashmere we could make mincemeat out of simulated matter with just a passing thought. Maybe there's more than one human species. Maybe some of us ascended while others descended. I understand better than I'd like the tribal woman in the Easter Sunday documentary going back to her jungle. Home has a strong pull for me too, as well as E.T. Psychological studies have shown that battered young children from broken homes would, if given the chance, return to the familiar torture rather than stay in a new, unfamiliar, healthy home. Is the warmth of familiar healthier somehow than the cold of unfamiliar? But I can't imagine a person from a place like Kashmir choosing to descend to birth to a primitive inhabitant of an insect-infested jungle. Touch might be nice, but being bitten or beaten seems to be stretching it a bit far. That documentary did touch me in a very uncomfortable way. I was awake from 3:30 to 5:30 this morning thinking about it, as well as scratching my head, armpits, back, ribs, etc. Isn't it amazing how many itches you develop when you're trying to be quiet so you won't wake your wonderful spouse snoring beside you? Except Tom doesn't snore. I do. So does Tara. Tom may wonder sometimes in the middle of the night when he's trying to sleep why he descended. I have to admit there are times when I'm wondering where my money is and why I'm invisible and no one is reading my books. Times when a cave looks appealing. Well, it's 6:30 and Tom just drove up, so I'm down the stairway. See you later. I always come back, don't I? I won't lose touch. Asterisk. Tom's in the shower now, and we're going to the Capri for supper, so I have a few minutes to continue contemplating my own root structure. I understand the call of the wild. I enjoy walking on soft prairie dirt. We have plenty of it available. Our house abuts a sandrock hillside, leading without human interruption into the wet mountain range of the Rockies. I love having all the wilderness in my own backyard. I love it. Packs of coyotes often come down from the hill at night. I yelp yet convincingly enough to them that they answer me. Don't think that isn't a thrill. Once Tom and I were braced with the strong, slinky, silky presence of a mountain lion crossing the road ahead of us. We were on the way to Canyon City at night. The lion had come down from the hill beside the highway, crossed slowly and gracefully in front of us. She stopped in the middle of the road, turned to face into our headlights with her bright eyes, then turned away dismissingly and continued on down the gully on the other side of the road. She wasn't rattled in the least at crossing the path of our pickup. We were honored at her beauty and power, holding our breaths in reverence. until we arrived at Walmart. I love wild animals. I also love the convenience of Walmart. I guess I'm an anomaly. I don't think one value has to cancel the other. Did you notice that anomaly isn't too far from the spelling of animal? Asterisk. It was a wild and stormy Monday night in April. The Wacky Witch was in the attic of her peaked roof cottage on 555 Main in the mountain prairie town of Rockville. An eerie, blue-tinged flickering could be seen from the window at the attic's apex. What was she up to? What rue conjuring? What alchemy performing? It was said she didn't have a cauldron or a coven or any of the normal trappings. She didn't have pickling jars of questionable contents. All she had was stacks and stacks of books, papers, files, and boxes, and an old, dark, wooden rocking chair. It had belonged to her grandma Rocchio. When Louisa Rocchio was 94 years old, she was still walking twice daily in her backyard, along a sidewalk from the house to the ash pit. When she could no longer remember how many times she had made passage from back door to pit, she used pebbles to remind her. Then one day in the house she fell and couldn't get herself up. She had avoided doctors all her life, especially after one of them had told her to use toothpaste to clean her teeth instead of baking soda or salt water. After using the sugary paste a few months, she got a cavity. She quit that doctor's folly, went back to her old habits, and kept her teeth her whole life. She loved to eat. A round, 4-foot-high lady, the one new invention she did like and repeated use of from the day of its discovery, was tennis shoes. Before Linda, her granddaughter, introduced her to those clouds of comfort, she had worn black leather dress shoes laced with shiny strings. She saved her last pair when she switched to blue tennies. That last pair of dress shoes was in the box with her black burial dress. The day she fell, she went to the hospital for her first day. Previously, she had been there only to visit. The second day there, she knew it was time to go. She told her youngest daughter, Margie, Grandma had 10 children, that she, Louisa, was going to go to sleep that night and not wake up. She did. That's how individuals with hard heads and iron spines die. More accurately, they just leave. Louisa Rocchio visited Margie Rocchio that night before she got too far away to return easily or often. She touched Margie to awaken her. Margie, feeling a hand gently but firmly shaking her shoulder, looked up, not frightened to see who was there. She saw nothing, but knew. The phone rang. It was the hospital notifying Margie Rocchio that her mother had passed. Yes, I know, Marge said. Yes, I know. Asterisk. Margie said her daughter Linda appeared to be in a dream once. Linda was living in Portland, Oregon at the time. Margie was living, as she had for many decades, in Florence, Colorado. Marge was asleep on the sofa, as was a common affair in the evening, in front of the TV. In the throes of a nightmare, Margie was tossing restlessly. Someone was trying to break into her house. Linda walked in and stood beside the sofa and told her mom she was safe. Everything was okay. Margie fell back into a peaceful snooze. She remembered how vividly her daughter had been in her dream. She called long distance to ask what Linda had been doing during the time of the nightmare. I think I'll take a break there and continue again next time. I think, I already told you the date today, Monday, January 30th, 2012. I think I'll continue reading this whole book, but I'm not quite sure. The Kindle percentage now says I'm at 64%. So just think we're only a little bit more than halfway through this book. And there's a lot more to it. I think a lot more that might be helpful to know, or at least interesting maybe. So again, I'll pause here and be back whenever next time. Take care.